Hi, I'm Julie Larson. I'm the head instructor at Giant Steps Therapeutic Equestrian Center. And today we have one of our adult classes riding. They're working primarily on core strength, trunk control, stretching, flexibility, and balance. So they are working a lot on walk-halt transitions to build their core strength, on steering to work on their balance as they turn. And they also get a lot of recreational and social benefit out of it. It's one of the activities that they all can do, and they all get along really well and are very supportive as a team. Horses have a remarkable ability to strengthen weak muscles and loosen tight muscles, so lots of people with lots of different disabilities can benefit from therapeutic riding.
I heard about Giant Steps through a para-equestrian coach, and she recommended me to Giant Steps, and I've been riding with Giant Steps for the past 2 years. I'm a horse nut, and I have been ever since I was 9 years old, and I was injured in 1980 from a car accident, so it left me a paraplegic, and so riding, I didn't think riding would be something I'd be able to do, and since then I've found therapeutic program through Giant Steps is offering me a safe environment to be back on a horse, to feel the wonderful feeling of legs moving under me, since I haven't felt it in 32 years since I've been hurt. And it's good for my body and my spirit. To be on top of a horse is such a freedom for me. I actually have legs again, even though they're 4 legs. And to move around and be without my wheels, and I'm like everybody else up on the horseback, and we're all learning the same thing, so it's an equal playing field. I'm actually looking down at people instead of looking up, which is very nice. And the horses themselves, they're just such kind creatures. Somehow they know, like Porky, who I ride, knows that there's something special about me, and he takes extra, he's particularly careful with me. He's just an angel, and I trust him, and he trusts me. Okay, this class, we're working on our basic skills: walk, halt, and walk-ups, which is like a trot. And we're learning on reining and stuff, so we're learning a lot of our basics as a team. And I'm the only paraplegic, but all of us have our own physical challenges of one form or another, and I like it. We're all an easygoing, supportive group.
So this is our Bothene Trail, which was funded by the Bothene Foundation, and it's a sensory integration trail. It was one of the first ones built in California, and as you can see, there's different terrain for the horses to walk on. There's a wood planks, then there's wood chips, then there's sand, then there's some rubber down at the end, and then there's some hard surface. And what happens is when say, for example, a child with autism has sensory integration disorder, and their senses overwhelm them. So when they get on the horse and the horse walks on different terrain, it allows them to sort of focus on and feel the different ways that the horse moves when it walks on the different terrain, as well as what it sounds like when they walk on different surfaces. There's also flowers of different color. It's the end of summer, so they're all starting to fade, but when they work on colors, there's fruit along the trail, so the teachers will pick the fruit and hand it to the students so the students can feel it and they can smell it, they can taste it. So they essentially work on all 5 of their senses when they're going on this trail. The trail goes all the way down, it loops around, it comes back, it goes all the way around our property and loops around again. And on the other side of the property, there's actually hills. so they can work on when they're going up a hill, leaning forward on the horse, and when they're going down a hill, leaning backwards on the horse. So there's more stuff that we can put on here that we're going to be working on. That's what this is. It's our bow-theme sensory integration disorder trail.
What we're trying to do is just share with folks what it's like to volunteer at Giant Steps, and obviously the bigger half of our volunteer base is at the barn, and since you're a star volunteer, I thought you'd be a great spokesperson. And so I didn't even hear until today how you learned about Giant Steps, but if you'd share that, that'd be great.
My discovery of Giant Steps was through public access television in Nevada on channels 26 and 27, and this was about 3.5 years ago. I myself, being out on a workers' comp injury with the industrial job I had at the time, was looking for something to do with my free time and spirit, and discovered the program on the local TV station one evening, and thought that would be a really fun thing for me, being that I've loved horses all my life and have had a horse experience in the past, and was basically at that time sitting idle. And so I got on the computer and I looked up Giant Steps and discovered that they were within 10 minutes of my own home, and drove out the very next day and signed up for the orientation class. And it's been 3.5 years since that day, and I've never looked back. It's been an absolutely fabulous adventure for me.
So I'm hearing that even though you had horse experience, we don't have to have horse experience, and certainly I know that to be true, but some people might feel more intimidated or more comfortable around horses, and that's all part and parcel of it too.
It's all just part of, spending time around the horses. The comfortability and relaxation will come along with it. We do not require any previous horse experience. And a lot of the people who do come in and volunteer for us, as a matter of fact, have absolutely no horse experience or experience with children and adults who have challenges. So it's a grassroots effort. We start ground up. We'll give you the 101s on what we need from you as a volunteer, and what the horses will need from the volunteers as well. And there's no need to be intimidated or anxious about it at all, because we'll give you everything you need to know.
Who is your favorite rider?
Probably Aiden. Aiden's my little favorite. He's my Friday morning student. When I started there 3.5 years ago, Aiden had already been riding for a while, but he was a teeny tiny fragile little boy. And I've watched him grow up and grow out. And now, I mean, at the time when I started there, he couldn't sit up on his own. He had to have complete support from the sidewalkers. And he would have seizures during class, and he flailed a lot and whatnot. And since we've worked with him for the last 3.5 years, he's stopped flailing. He sits up all by himself. He only has sidewalkers shadow him now. They don't have to hold on to him any longer. He doesn't have seizures. He's brilliant. He makes eye contact now, where before he didn't make any eye contact at all. And now he makes audible noises too. He squeals when he's happy. So
Since you are one of the key players in the barn, I know you see a lot about what Julie thinks about in matching riders with horses. So tell me a little bit about how the herd kind of fits together and how they have different personalities and physical attributes that make them appropriate.
all the horses have extremely forgiving, wonderful, loving personalities and qualities. And we have a mixed herd in the barn. We have a variety of different breeds of horses, and each breed offers a different platform to match with different students and their disabilities or their challenges. And so we try with great difficulty sometimes, but actually we've gotten really good at matching horses and their attributes to students and their needs. All the horses in the barn are fabulous horses, and each rider has different needs and challenges. And so depending on their challenges, either physically or emotionally, mentally, or just their abilities per se. So we have a great team of horses in the barn. We have a couple of quarter horses. We have a warm blood. We have some Tennessee walking horses. And we have a very special new little horse in the barn, and he's an Icelandic horse. And so he will be the new horse that we probably match the little kids to, because he's perfect size, yeah. So for me.
And certainly I hear from volunteers regularly, if I get so much more than I give. what do you think the biggest rewards of volunteering at Giant Steps are?
Probably the children's faces when they've dismounted after class. That's got to be the most rewarding experience, is seeing the smiles and the glee that just comes over them after they've had a wonderful riding class. And at the same token, it could be their faces when they first come out and they jump out of the car and they run to the helmet closet to get their helmets, and they're just so ecstatic because this is, you know, just something out of their normal world, and it's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
To come out and be placed on a, you know, anywhere between a 900 and 1,200 pound animal that does not judge, does not discriminate, allows these children to do something that they've never probably in most part done before, and just brings them such a world of joy and pleasure that just makes your day, and every day that you're there. So Beth, I've always been curious to know what brought you to Giant Steps.
Well, I knew of the organization through a friend of mine who's on the board, and at the time that Robert, the founder, was considering retiring, David, this friend, knew that I was trying to leave my job in San Francisco. I was tired of the commute, and so he asked me if I would come and step in for a while, and it's been phenomenal. It's just such an amazing organization, from the riders and their families to the volunteers to the staff to the donors. It attracts great people.
Well, if I can pay you a validation, you've been fabulous since you've stepped in as our interim director, and you've been incredibly hands-on and just a joy to work with. And it just makes it all the more fun to be a volunteer at Giant Steps, to have a wonderful director on hand as well as staff members.
And the irony is, I know almost nothing about horses. I haven't ridden since high school, so it's been a tremendous learning curve, and I had not worked with an organization with serving anyone with disabilities, so learned a lot about that. And I think that in addition to being continually amazed about how much this changes our riders' lives, it's also hearing from families the impact that it has, of, you know, a dad who says, this is the 1 hour a week I know my son will smile, or a mom saying, of all the therapies we do with our daughter, this is the one she enjoys. It's just seeing their faces when they pull up. One time we were having staff meeting out at the barn, and it was the end of a break, and the classes started the following week, and we saw this mom pull in. It was actually Aiden's mom, and they were so excited to come back that she said, I knew it wasn't this week, but we were ready to come back. And so we toured him through, and he said hello to the horses, but he was ready to be there. So it's been rewarding to be out at the barn.
Volunteering for the 2012 Charity Classic, I had an opportunity to talk to people and ask them for donations, and to hear their side of it, how much they love Giant Steps and are so eager to give to this wonderful organization. So it makes me proud to be part of it, and to hear outside of the community how much they appreciate this organization. The 2012 Charity Classic is a way to bring our members, our community, to the horse park and see some examples of horsemanship, and to eat and dine and visit and bid on some very nice vacation packages. And it's a way to help fund our special programs and keep us going throughout the year. When I volunteer for the Charity Classic, I feel so proud of myself to be part of the team that helps the Giant Steps organization keep going, and knowing that, you know, we're gonna have horses and riders and scholarships, which is so huge, even for a rider like me. You know, I don't think I could ride without the scholarships that they provide for riders. And just to be part of this organization, be part of Giant Steps that gives so much. It feels so good to give back and contribute.
So Lisa has a few hats here. One is event coordinator, and that is everything from ticket sales to table placement to auction management to volunteer management to caterer management. which could be a full-time job. However, it's not, because she's also development associate, so grant writing, year-end appeal, really any fundraising efforts we have, Lisa has a piece of. And certainly we employ volunteers in the gala and other fundraising efforts. And in fact, it's really, for a lot of our volunteers, one of the only ways they can participate, because they may have full-time jobs that preclude them from volunteering at the barn, but they can write silent auction descriptions at night on their computer while watching the Olympics. You know, it really is a very flexible way to join or work on silent auction procurement in whatever capacity they can on the weekends and the evenings, what have you. But Lisa's the woman to talk to around all things development at Giant Steps. We haven't really talked about the way that this horse show fits in with the other horse shows at Sonoma Horse Park, and people may not even know what Sonoma Horse Park is. It's such a jewel in the community.
Okay, so Riverside Equestrian Center is owned by the Herman family out on Lakeville Highway, and it's about 40 acres or so, I think, and we lease 2 acres from them. So our barn is there. There's also several other barns out there. Well, they decided they wanted to build a horse park and host horse shows out there. So in 2010 they built a horse park and they started hosting horse shows. Ashley Herman is the owner of the horse park, and she also has 2 partners that she owns the actual horse show with. And she built that horse park. It's absolutely stunning. Every year they put more money into it to make it better and better. And they've been gaining an incredible reputation for putting on awesome horse shows. People are coming. Last year, people came from Canada all the way to Mexico to come to our horse show, and there's 6 other horse shows during the year from May to September. So Ashley's tied in with us in many ways. She owns the land. Her and her family own the land that we lease. And then she owns the horse park that sponsors, that she said, hey, we should do a benefit horse show and give the money to Giant Steps, because it seemed like a really logical partnership there. And in addition, we roped her into being on our board. So she's also on our board now, and she's co-chairing the event this year. She really wanted to do this for us, so it was just sort of a natural thing. So so that's how we're tied in with Riverside Equestrian and Sonoma Horse Park, and that's why, because she's on our board, she also wants to see, well, what other ways can we raise money for Giant Steps throughout the horse show season, because there's a captive audience there of about 1,500 to 2,000 people that all care about horses and understand the bond there, so it's sort of a natural place for us to try to fundraise.
One of the neat things about the horse show is that obviously it raises money for us, but it also introduces us to a huge segment of population who understand the impact of riding because they are themselves riders, but may not understand the impact a horse can have on a disabled rider. So one of the things that I was really surprised to learn is that the horse's gait is the closest match to a human gait. So for a rider who doesn't walk, being on the horse starts to open neural pathways and have that imprint on their muscles what it is to walk and to start that capability. And so what we're trying to do in the demonstration is to really teach people that it's physical gains, it's behavioral gains, it's cognitive gains, and this year we'll have the demonstration divvied up to show how it can work in each of those areas, and then the horses will be led by some of the veterans in our veteran program. So it will be a phenomenal
that's going to be
evening.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then it leads into the actual competition.
Yeah, it's such a fun event. Last year was my first time, and I've been to a lot of luncheons with speakers and dried chicken, and this is not that. This is an exciting horse competition. It is, nothing I'd ever seen. It's outdoors. It's a beautiful setting. So it's just this amazing event that people really, will have more guests every year, I think, because everyone I brought last year wanted to come again this year because they'd never seen anything like it. So it's just a nice way to introduce people to Giant Steps who may or may not really be familiar with the world of disabilities.
Right, and they're the best people for us to appeal to, because they already, like Beth said, understand the value of connecting with a horse and riding on a horse.
We have a phenomenal set of board members. It's definitely a working board. Everyone rolls up their sleeves. The other co-chair this year is Chris Lowenthal, and she's done everything from schlepping wine around to banging nails out of horseshoes because we wanted to spray paint them as centerpieces. So the board has been extraordinarily supportive. And then donors, you know, we receive no government money whatsoever. So everything is through private donations, be it foundations or corporations or just individuals who see the impact on riders and want to help. And that's another way of volunteering in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And this organization is, as you can imagine, it's very expensive to run because horses are not cheap to maintain. They're not inexpensive. So, you know, just to maintain one horse is a lot of money. So, if you have any questions about anything, please go to our website. It's giantstepsriding.org, giantstepsriding.org, or you can call us at the office, 707-769-8900. Volunteer check-in. And then they get directed to one of these tables if they're registered, or if they're non-registered, they go there. Then we have the Barclays jump there, Stanley's there, and then they enter there. I'll help them volunteer their check-in wristbands.
We have a variety of volunteers. We have numerous volunteers, and we always need volunteers. There is no job that's too small or is necessarily too tough for anybody to tackle out here. We don't mind if you are young, we don't mind if you are older age, and if you have limited capacities, we would love to have you as well. That's what we specialize in. There's numerous jobs out here. There is not only barn management and horse management, there's also sidewalkers and leaders for the horses, as well as assistants for our challenged clients. The horses also need tender loving care and get lots of that, and if that's what you prefer to do as a volunteer out here, we are more than happy to have you just work with the horses. If you prefer to just work with the students, we are more than happy to have you do that as well. There's always little things around here that need to be taken care of. We even have jobs in the administration department as well as the care and maintenance of the facility. We are always looking for people to garden, come out and plant plants or weed some weeds. If you've got an hour or 4 to spend, please, by all means, come spend them with us. This is my office. This is our tack room at the Giant Steps facility. This is the main hub of most activity as the horses are readied for classes. As you can see, we have a variety of different kinds of equipment for our horses and for our special challenged needs students. So there's always a learning experience in this office as well. So Giant Steps can be a benefit for anybody, whether you just need to spend some free time, whether you want to come out and socialize with people, if you want to come out and socialize with some horses, or if you just want to learn some new things about something that you don't have previous experience with. Giant Steps is a perfect place to find yourself at. We have a volunteership of over 100 people. Currently, we run 5 days a week from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We have students of all ages as well as challenges. It doesn't matter how small the hurdle is, it's getting over the hurdle, and size does not matter out here. It is just completing something that somebody didn't think that they were going to be able to manage. And in some cases that could be as small as picking up a brush and just brushing a horse, or actually getting on and mounting a horse for the first time. So we even have volunteers who come in here and they just work around the horses, even if they're terrified of them. They want that wonderful energy that is around here that everybody brings to this program. And I think that's what fuels and feeds everybody to want to come back time and time again, including students who have been anxious or trepidatious about being around large animals and not having experience. There's an allure, and I think it all encompasses the energy of everybody that comes, and it's something that you just can't ignore. It's wonderful.